And it sounds like most, if not all, of your acquisitions are in Washington State. Is that correct?
We only buy in Washington. Yeah, in specific pockets of Washington to
And
be more
so
specific.
so with that, the question comes, there's a lot of people, as I alluded to earlier, there's a lot of people that just stay away from Washington in general. So how do you think of like kind of the landlord laws and the navigating the landscape between like, red state, blue state, that kind of thing? Like how do you navigate that and what draws you to just staying in Washington versus diversifying geographically?
Yeah, so I have so many little, like, anecdotal stories of, what we've learned and people we've met and people that have been down the road, tens of thousands of units later, right? And, we're not that big by any means, but I'm always trying to learn, see around corners with the help of people that have been around the corners, right? And so one thing that I absolutely freaked me out in the very beginning of like call it 29, 2021, because I had quite a lot of money that we could have placed into deals in other parts of the country. And I had experimented and bought some single family houses in Dallas and rented as rentals just to kind of test the market. And that was probably back in 2016 or 2017. And like those deals did fine. I just didn't like being so far away from them. So, like, that's why I got out of them. It wasn't like a market decision or anything. I just recognized, "Hey, I know this place here. I'm gonna stay here." But in terms of, like, COVID and everybody shuffling around the country and all of these big population changes and movements, the number one thing that just didn't quite connect for me was like, "Hey, in these places where everybody's going, there's essentially, like, infinite urban sprawl possible." Like, there's tons of land, there's tons of space to build. And we don't have that here. There's nowhere to build, it's particularly in Western Washington, the Puget Sound region where Seattle is, where we like to buy, again, not in the city of Seattle, but 30 minutes north, 30 minutes south, the tertiary markets that surround it that are still close in, that still serve that market. There's literally no land. The only place to go is up. The zoning doesn't particularly support that. So it's not even possible in a lot of these places. So there is a massive supply problem. I mean, the Puget Sound region only delivered like 3,000 new units in 2024. Is crazy low, like crazy low. And there's way more people than that need housing. The houses here are also absurdly expensive. So there's so many people that are sort of boxed in and have to rent. So, when I'm looking at our rent rolls, when I'm looking at our vacancy analysis, all of this stuff, we are on stabilized assets. And these are like 70s vintage buildings, like nothing fancy. We are below 4% in terms of vacancy rates, like everywhere. And I mean, some buildings were running like 2.5%. And that's like all up economic vacancy, everything. So, and you look at other markets, and I talk to other operators all the time, and a group that has 3,000 units in Arizona tell me, hey, like world class operators out here are running like 10% vacancy. Like that's just what it is. It's getting worse, and then you start looking at the Sun Belt and these other markets, and it's like the supply is crazy, like tens and like 50, 60,000 new apartment units, delivered in Dallas last year or something. And rents dropped 22%. Like, it's just a supply thing, right? So it's like we don't have much competition out here in terms of our units. So as long as we're staying in our lane and buying on our thesis, which we won't deviate from just because we know it, we love it,